Hello, this is Purge. We're in your first person replay commentary. I played a Phantom Lancer game today, and I wanted to talk about it because I am quite intrigued by the hero changes. So, first things first, he's quite different than he was before. A moderate amount. Like two of his skills are yeah, 2 to 3 of his skills are quite different, but he's still kind of the same hero, just not exactly. This is a new Shadow Fiend, by the way. He looks fantastic, and the guy I played against this game actually did have an Arcana, so you get to see the Arcana. Oh, that's cool. I haven't seen the tooltips at Pierce's spell immunity. That's good. Yes, it does. That's cool. I haven't looked at anything yet. So, this is the only first game that I had played, but I think it was a decent demonstration of the hero, and I learned a lot of things just by playing one game, so I'll just share all that information with you guys, and hopefully you can hop into your first PL game and do a decent job. Come on. There we go. Okay, so, let me just explain his skills if you guys didn't watch the patch video that I posted a couple days ago, and then you can understand how everything works. Spirit Lance is exactly the same. It is no different to my knowledge. It's a very low cooldown, medium damage nuke that slows people, and it also spawns an illusion, and the illusions can right click for a bit of damage as well. Second skill is new. It's called Doppelganger. What it does is it basically teleports or vanishes your hero, makes him invincible, and the illusions around you. You basically all disappear for 1 second, and then you reappear in the area that you target, and with an extra 2 illusions. One of them does 0 damage, but takes 100% damage, basically the same damage you take, and the other one does 20% damage, but it takes 600%. So it basically adds 2 illusions to where you appear to. You can use it to blink up cliffs or teleport. You can use it to dodge spells and then come back with a bunch of damage. It doesn't really matter, but the cast range is pretty normal. I think something like target area size is 325, and you can cast it like 400 units or something like that. 600, no. Yeah, it's about 400 units, I think, plus that is an AoE. So you basically should be using it to dodge projectile stuns, AoEs that you know are about to be cast, or other things like that. I was a little bit late to lane. I should have been grabbing the rune. There's always a rune spawn now. One's a bounty rune, one is a actual rune. So make sure that you always go to check for rune spots at the start of the game, because you are guaranteed to get one no matter which side you go to. It's like ever more important. That should be a habit that everybody gets into now, is always checking rune spots. So I think the correct skill build for this is 4-1-1 with your ulti at 6. Oh, I haven't finished yet, sorry. Your third skill is called Phantom Rush. It basically allows you to charge towards an enemy that is outside of a certain range. If you're within 300 range, you don't charge. If you're out of 300 range, you do charge. And it's kind of like a super surge phase boots, basically. You just run towards your enemy. So what it allows you to do is chase after somebody permanently, relatively fast. The cooldown goes down, basically the rush distance increases as you level it up. The max rush distance, that is, so that's how far away you can proc it off. It's kind of forces you to have to be like more careful about how what you click on during a team fight, because there's been a lot of times where I'll right click on a hero and I'll charge halfway there, and then I'll cast a spell and I'll cancel the charge. So it's better to generally right click the ground near where you want to go, instead of always clicking the hero that you want to move towards. So make sure you're a little careful about your clicking. Doppelganger level 2 definitely is by far better than Phantom Rush, although I believe you can Phantom Rush to some tactical objects. So let's say, for example, if an enemy hero is the direction that I want to escape to, you can charge to them and then continue running if you want to, but almost always Doppelganger is going to be better at the second point. This ability is actually amazing, by the way. It's basically like a 1-second phase shift, and that's the way that you have to look at it. Phase shift is the ability on Puck that lets you dodge damage. It only costs 50 mana, and the cooldown's really big at level 1, but as you level it up, it goes down to 10 seconds, and that's basically all you're putting skill points into it for, is getting the cooldown lower, and it's completely worth doing that, in my opinion. Stats are very good on Phantom Lancer, but Doppelganger is fantastic. This is actually the skill that I max out last, by the way, but that's, again, because the scaling isn't very good. All that changes is the cooldown. Phantom Rush I max second because you want to get the cooldown very low, that way you can utilize it multiple times during a chase or a team fight. And his ultimate is pretty much the same. The only difference is your illusions do way less damage than they did in the past. They do 16% now, and I think before they did somewhere around 24 to 30. Probably a little bit less than that even, maybe 22, I don't know. The illusions do less damage than they used to. They take more damage than they used to, and they last way less time than they used to. They only last for 4 seconds if your illusions spawn them, and they last for 8 seconds if your hero spawns them. But your hero trigger changes hero trigger chances much higher than it used to be. It used to be like 25 or something like that. Now it's at 40 to 50 seconds as you level it up. This might not be worth getting 2 levels with at level 11. I ended up getting 2 levels at level 11 this game, but I feel it's maybe not worth it. It doesn't scale super hard. Max illusions, I guess it's pretty worth it for the max illusions and stuff. But definitely get this at 6. I think, yeah, I think you should get this at 6. It doesn't give you magic resistance anyways, by the way. Or anymore, by the way, if you didn't notice. Those are the differences, but I think this is the correct skill build. 2-1-1 by level 4. By 7 you should be 4-1-1. And then by 9 or 10 I believe, you should be 4-1-4-1 is what your item build should be. I grabbed a Basilius at the beginning of this game because I did plan to cast Phantom Lance a lot. You should have some kind of mana regen item. I don't think Soul Ring is needed. It wasn't really needed before either, but it's an option. I think Basilius into Drum is probably the... Or actually, that's not true. I would say... excuse me. Basilius Treads. Did you see my charges there? I accidentally was too far away. It's like 300 range is like around what a range creep attacks. Somewhere around that is a little bit more than 300, but I think Basilius Treads is the way to go. Remember that your illusion spawning is based on your hero chances of hitting more than your illusions, so getting your attack speed up is very important. And his item build centers a lot more about your hero rather than what your illusions do, so make sure that you adjust your item builds as such. The only exception to this is Diffusal Blade, because Diffusal Blade is still fantastic because it doesn't matter how much your illusions hit. As long as you have illusions hitting, they're going to be mana draining, and that's fantastic. Did you see I charged again there? Because I clicked on his hero without the intention of chasing after him. Oh, show the fight recap. Oh, so cool. XP change, damage done, items used a bottle. Alright, cool. That's one of the new features. I'm actually going to start looking at that every time I do a replay commentary if I'm curious about the fight. That's really cool. Okay, so yeah, Diffusal Blade's fantastic because your illusions all have charge, so even if they don't do very much damage, you're still getting the mana burn. And the mana burn was nerfed, I believe. I don't know, I can't open the shop unfortunately unless I go. I'm going to free camera this for just a second because I want to look at the shop. Ugh, I hate it when it does this. Diffusal Blade. Okay, so the first Diffusal Blade, it burns 25. When you level it up, I believe it burns more, but mostly it's an agility upgrade if I'm not mistaken. What does the Diffusal Blade 2 burn? Get out of there. Tooltips. Damn it, tooltips. Move. Okay. This says it still burns 25. I'm not entirely sure if that's correct or not. It might be a tooltip error, but either way it's worth leveling up because it gives you an extra 15 agility for about 800 gold. But generally you just want to keep it at 1 until the charges get low, and then you can upgrade it again. So I probably upgraded it slightly too early this game, but the agility is still pretty nice to have. So you have to go Diffusal Blade now. You can't go Radiance anymore because your illusions only stay alive for a maximum of 8 seconds. It's not worth getting Radiance. The purpose before is you could spread the illusions out. You could farm like 3 places at one point with a Radiance, and Radiance farm is really good. You can't do that build anymore. You have to go Diffusal Blade. I think it's absolutely required. I mean, there's a lot of cheesy things you could do because you can charge in and then do something. So you could do like a Basher or something is a possibility, not recommended. Scotty is definitely an item that you can get late game. Brex was writing about that on Twitter. He's on Navi US, or at least he was. I don't know if their roster changed or not, but he recommended Scotty in a late game, which is a really good idea because Scotty gives your illusions a lot of stats, and since your hero can very easily close the gap and chase, your hero gets the slow, but your illusions don't. But your illusions get the stats, which is good, but that's fine because you can slow with your hero and your illusions get the stats, and you get a lot of HP. See, there's the charge. Imagine doing that every 4 seconds in a team fight when you're chasing somebody. It's really strong, and now I'm like really spawning illusions. It's just kind of happening. It's one of those points that I wish I did have treads though, because attacking creeps does end up giving you more illusion charges. Or more chances to spawn illusions, so I think treads is by far the way to go. I ended up going brown boots for a very long time this game, and I think that was a big mistake. Also, be really careful when you're hitting a tower because you oftentimes charge into the closest unit, and when a tower changes targets, it almost always hits the closest range unit in the game. So I think we maybe could have killed right there. Okay. Ooh, I wanted the charge, couldn't get it. I don't know why I thought I could get that, but I thought I could get that. See that charge in, guys? So Diffusal first is what I'm aiming for, because I can spawn a lot of illusions, but they don't do a whole lot of damage right now. They only do 14% or 16%, which is 16% of the 78 number. It's very low. That's like 7.8 times half of that, which is like 3 or 4. It's like 4 points more. If they basically do 12 damage or something a hit. If your opponent has a stout shield or damage block or a vanguard or something, it means your illusions actually don't do good damage. Illusions do very low amount of damage, and it can be damage block. I don't think the diffusal component gets blocked, but the physical component, the physical damage part, does get blocked. So if you're ever worried about Phantom Lancer, you can even buy that new item, the Crimson Guard. It's very good against illusions because illusions do a lot of low sources of damage. If you get damage block against illusion heroes, you're going to be pretty tanky in the early game. You'll still get mana drained, but at least you'll be kind of tanky. So yeah, I'm just trying to rush a Diffusal Blade. I think this is a mistake looking back. I would have definitely gone Basilius with a Treads, because Treads, first of all, you can switch to Int whenever you're casting. The reason that stopped moving, by the way, is because I misclicked. I clicked the ground again. I'm like not used to clicking based on it. I would definitely go Treads, Diffusal Blade, or Treads Basilius, and then I would go into... See, I tried using that thing to see if I could get closer. I think that's do you see how I like move though? I didn't quite appear in the same place that I started at. It was more it removes you, and then you move a little bit, and then you get there. Let's take a look at the fight recap. Oh, interesting, interesting. So, Treads Basilius, maybe a magic stick or a magic wand is very good. And other than that, yeah, but Diffusal Blade is the way to go. You like have to get a Diffusal Blade, in my opinion. It's absolutely required. Pretty much. It's pretty much required. It makes your illusions actually be annoying. Otherwise, they would just do a very, very low amount of damage, and people would still kill them anyways. So they're quite easy to kill now, and you'll see that as the game goes on. One thing I thought about a lot while I played was, did I need Heart or not? Heart is an item that Phantom Lancer pretty much always needed in the past, because if you can't keep your illusions alive, like the illusions do spawn fast, but if they get cleared easily and you don't get a lot of time to right click a hero, like they basically spawn fast when you have a lot of illusions hit. They're faster when your hero hits, but it's not that big of a difference that losing your illusions isn't insignificant. So when you lose your illusions, it like really sucks. So at least it did in the past. It's not really the case anymore, in my opinion. If you lose your illusions, it's not a big deal, because 50% of the time that you hit with your hero, it's going to respawn. And as you can see, they're actually respawning pretty fast. They don't do a huge amount of damage, but it works. You can jungle actually a little easier than you could in the past, I think. At least if you're 6. You have to be 6, otherwise it doesn't work. So I felt like you didn't really need a heart, because the illusions die in 8 seconds anyway, so if they take damage, you're like, oh, my illusions just got solo nuked. That's fine, they only last for 8 seconds, and I'll just charge in on some guy, and I'll be in melee range anyways. Like, it's very, very easy to redo, like, clumps of illusions. You even cast Doppelganger. Just cast Doppelganger on the ground, and you can have way more illusions on the ground anyways. You can do a Doppelganger and a Spirit Lance every 10 seconds, and you're going to have an extra 3 illusions. You didn't really have that before. You'd have to use Doppelwalk, which is 15 seconds, and that would spawn 1 illusion. You would use Spirit Lance, that's a 1 illusion every 10 seconds. So you actually spawn a lot more illusions now than you did in the past. Anyways, there it is. Diffusal Blade Rush, I got it at 11 minutes. It's pretty darn fast. I could have been a little faster, but it was largely pretty okay. I'll drop my Arrow Branch. The other problem with Diffusal Blade, first, is that I don't actually have a whole lot of HP right now, so I have to be concerned about that. But as I was laning here, I kind of just realized that your hero is very, very weak in the early game. So if you're playing against a Phantom Lancer and you want him to be less viable, you should probably just gank him early. It helps a lot to initiate on him. Stuns and silences are by far the best thing to counter him. AoEs help as well, but you have to make sure that if you AoE and you don't like lock him down afterwards, you should be using the AoEs to like detect which one's the real one. If you're not doing that properly, then he's just going to come out and cast his spells and be a huge nuisance and probably kill some of your guys. So I think I maybe should have been in some of these fights, but I wasn't entirely sure yet. Actually, Shadow Fiend's pretty good against Phantom Lancer in the early game, because if he just Shadow Raises, he'll definitely kill my illusions. Remember, it does 4 times the damage, so it's basically like a 1200 damage nuke. They'll just die. But check this out. This is my first initiation with Diffusal Blade. Look at the charge. I lance, I run in, I can use Diffusal Blade, get the second slow off, and bam, he dies. Like, that was amazing, right? Like, that guy was not going to be able to get away. And yeah, you could kind of do that before, but the difference is that you don't have to walk into range now. You can actually just get within, what's the range? like 600 to 900 range, and you are closing into melee range. And as soon as you're into melee range, they're gonna have trouble. In the past, you'd have to use doppelwalk to initiate from invisibility, or you'd have to lance from range and close the gap and then initiate again. But now I'm just in the fight. It's already happening. There's not a huge amount that he can do about it. And if he does turn around and he wants to disable me, I can always just use doppelwalk to escape. Now there's 2 heroes here. I kind of wanted to leave. I maybe should have fought actually. The Chaos Knight was pretty low on HP, but it's better to play it safe here. And I'm going to buy a drum at this point because I know my HP is way too low and my mana pool is maybe a little low as well. So I'll work on a drum next. I still think I should have treads. I would maybe skip drum. Even if I had gone treads, because the mana pool it gives me is good, but you actually don't need as much mana as you did before. Before, doppelwalk is actually quite a lot. At that slowest amount, it was what, 30 or 60 or something? 150, 120, 90, 60. At its lowest, it was 60. Doppelwalk is 50. So you spend, I guess, about the same mana as you did in the past, but I would say a little bit less. So I feel like a drum is good, but maybe not needed. You mostly just need the HP and a little bit of the stats, I feel. Crystal Maiden's gonna get out. I'm not entirely sold on the item build yet, whether or not you need a drum, but I think you definitely need treads. You don't really need movement speed as much as you did in the past either, because in the past your illusions, you want to make them fast because it gives them more times to attack your opponents. But you don't need that anymore because you have a skill that makes you run max movement speed. So movement speed items are kind of a waste on this hero, unlike they were in the past. And this is the moment where I was like, you know what, I'm going to go on this. Like, I can actually maybe kill this guy. I misclicked there again. I dodged his stun by using doppelwalk, and now I'm going to finish chasing, and there's the Surge again. So he doesn't have a stun. He's going to have all of his mana drained very shortly here. There's the Diffuse Blade active. And these are all charging, keep that in mind. These all charge every like 4 seconds. I don't do a lot of damage to him right now because he's out of mana. But I just like keep chasing. They can't, it's actually impossible for them to get away. They like don't know which one's the real one. So they can't stun the real one, and the illusions keep going after them, and they charge every 4 seconds because I want the correct skill build. Like, how do you get away from that? Obviously they made a mistake being out of position. I killed the Beastmaster, and then I dodged the Chaos Knight stun. Chaos Knight, you know what Chaos Knight should have done? He just should have TP'd, because I don't have a stun. So that's one solution. TP away from the PL if he's chasing you down. His damage is good, but it's not like ridiculously good. I think I TP'd. I think I did TP. We were talking about it. I was waiting, oh that's right, I was waiting for Chachi to infest me. Nice little trick you can do. That way if you TP, he thinks it's just one hero, in reality it's like multiples. So, I had a lot of gold and I had 5 kills. I was like, I'll just buy Boots of Travel, what's the big deal? You know, Boots of Travel. Boots of Travel was a big waste of my money, and I really regretted buying this because I finished my drum as well, so it's not like I just wasted my gold on Boots of Travel. But like I said, the movement speed that you get from Boots of Travel is good, but it's not needed at all because you have charge. All Boots of Travel lets me do is helps me get from one fight to another. During the fight, it's a waste. I think it's a big waste. I really shouldn't have gotten Boots of Travel here. Obviously, the free TPs for the rest of the game is kind of cool, but TPs are cheaper anyways, so it's kind of a waste in a lot of ways. So we'll charge on in here. I'll try to split push in the meantime. This is about the point where I realize my split push is not what it used to be. I'm going to walk away from this. Dust is a complete waste, by the way. Ursa actually doesn't need to use Dust. I should have diffused him. I was like trying to juke into the trees for some reason. I could have actually won. If I would have diffused him, I had like 2 really bad deaths here. If I would have diffused him as soon as I ran away, and then I would have ran in that trees and juked, I would have lived. 100%. So that was my bad. I got way too flustered. Dust is a waste now in Phantom Lancer. He doesn't have a way to go invisible. He actually doesn't. He can't go invisible, guys. You just have to watch his patterns. Like when he pops up from the doppelwalk, that's the best way to know which one's the real one. See who moves first and see how they move. If they look like they're auto moving to go auto attack random things, and one of them moves in a different direction, then you know that one's the real one. That's how you guys are gonna have to tell, and that's the only way to counter PL right now, I think. Sun silences, and if he does get to cast doppelwalk, you have to watch movement patterns and figure out which one's the real one, and then kill it. If you don't kill the hero, it's gonna continue being annoying. So that's what you have to be careful about. Yeah. Also, if I didn't have a Boots of Travel, if I had like any other item, like any tank item, I would have lived there as well. So another mistake. On the right side, I can TP right to the fight. Oh yeah, the way Diffuse the Blade works, by the way, it's very good for illusion damage, but keep in mind that if your opponents don't have any mana left over, they don't get the bonus damage from Diffusal. It doesn't do extra. Those are raises. Aren't they cool? This is really stupid. That's where I got roared, because it was really obvious which one was real. And this is another circumstance where if I had any more HP, I would have lived. I think. Maybe. Shadow Fiend looks really cool though. But that's on me. That was kind of where I realized that I'm not nearly as survivable as I used to be as PL. You have to play a lot more careful. Luckily my teammates got 2 more kills on the other side of the map, so it was okay. So what I should have bought instead of Boots of Travel, I should have gotten probably an Ultimate Orb or a Yasha, maybe. I guess Yasha is kind of contradictory to what I said before because it is movement speed, but it also does give you agility, so I think Manta is the natural follow-up to Diffuse the Blade as well because you can remove silences, you can create confusion, gives you 2 ways to create confusion. You've got Doppelganger and then you'll have a Manta style as well. And the other really cool part is the Manta illusions actually do last a long time. They last way longer than your other illusions do because those last 4 and 8 seconds. So if you do create illusions from yourself with Manta style, those can go split push. And those can spawn more illusions, so you can actually use Manta illusions to split push and turn PL slightly into a split pushing hero, but it's not nearly as good as it used to be. But it's still kind of similar. That was a big whiff. I was kind of thinking about going in on this. I just wanted to drain his mana first, so I'm checking his mana pool. He's really low already. And now I'm going to probably charge in. I should have gone in already, I think. Just Doppel walked in. And here's the part where my illusions really don't do very much damage. He stunned the wrong one. That was on him. Oh, there's a fight on the back of the... I'm gonna Diffusal him so he's slowed. And there's the Doppelwalk, and now he doesn't know which one's real. And at this point I decided to just leave, because it seemed like the fight was going to be over. It still went pretty good for me. I was able to get a kill and an assist, I think. Ursa bought back as well, so he's going to have a little bit lower farm. And I'm just going to go get my mana pool up and run away. I think the Doppelwalk that I used at the start of the fight was a little weak. I should have saved it for maybe interrupting. I don't know, if there's 2 heroes like that, it's kind of nice just to overwhelm them with illusions. It's very difficult to know what people are doing. But keep in mind that I would be moving. I moved my hero in to cast that spell, so... I did feel a little underwhelming right here, by the way. It definitely takes a little bit to feel strong. I'm going to charge in here. I just continue to right-click, basically. We weren't able to get him, though, because I kind of gave up a little. So, fight's over. They kind of gave up. Almost got my Yasha. If I wouldn't have had Boots of Travel, I'd be a lot closer than I was here. But what I realized from that last fight was it's very easy for me to close the gap on a hero like Shadow Fiend. And then I realized that I can get a lot of different items, and you should always adjust your items, especially now for PL, based on what you're playing against. In the past, it was pretty consistent. You like either go Radiance or you go Diffuse the Blade. If you go Diffuse the Blade, you go Diffusal 2, and then you get a Manta, and then you get like a Heart or a Butterfly or something like that. Pretty common. If you go Radiance, you usually go Radiance into Heart, and then maybe you'll get a Diffusal or a Manta or something like that. It's like pretty darn standard. You grab one of those 4 items, because you need to make your illusions tanky in those other builds, but you don't have to do that here. It's more about keeping your hero alive and making your illusions do some damage. So that's why Diffusal Blade's good, because it makes your illusions do some damage. Like right now I'm draining his mana. He's got a BKB here, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he's got a BKB. He's almost got a Butterfly, so he's probably ahead of me in farm, I think. Let me check net worth. Yeah, he's like quite a bit ahead of me in net worth, and I do have some trouble 1v1ing him. If he was solo versus me, I think I could get the kill, but with his teammates around, it's very difficult for me actually to get that kill.
and sweet.
Don't forget to get bounties every 2 minutes if they're there. It's a little hard to last hit when pushing too because the illusions spawn so much and they don't do a huge amount of damage, so I noticed, I guess it didn't happen this wave, but some of the waves I actually had trouble getting on the last hits. And that's the extent of your split push. Your creeps are now dead. It's all done. Just wanted to pop in and start doing some damage. Well, we got the Chaos Knight. It's like whoever I decide to go on just gets screwed, basically. Because all of a sudden I spawn like 5 illusions and then he gets his mana drained and then I can Diffuse the Blade follow-up. One counter is also going to be BKB because if you're magic immune then you don't take mana drain. Also I can't use Spirit Lance, I also can't use Diffuse the Blade offensively to slow you. You can still chase after people, but the illusions don't do that much damage. So some of the counters, Silence is good against PL. Stuns are very good against PL. Keeping track of where people are moving, you can try to guess which one's the real one. What else? Gank him a lot early is definitely possible. Remember, he's not that evasive. If you can bait out the doppelganger and he pops up and you can figure out which one's the real one, then you can get a kill. I figured that guy had a Blink Dagger. I slightly messed that up. I maybe could have gone for that more, but I didn't completely feel comfortable. They still have a lot of tier 1 towers. And I can hear their TPs and things, so I kind of wanted to go on that as well. I maybe should have. Again, dodge the damage as soon as we're taking. I mean, it's pretty clear which ones of me are the illusions most of the time. Let's worry about Ursa reinitiating here. I still don't have my Manta style though, so we have to be pretty careful. It's gonna send in some of my illusions to hopefully split push a little, but doesn't really do a huge amount. On the bright side, I do have experience.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
And I kind of just feel like a normal carry though. It's cool. It's like very different. I have like a lot more things that I can do than I could in the past as a hero, and I'm really happy for that. It feels good to play him. In the past, he wasn't a very fun hero to play. Kind of. That push is like so much more pronounced than it used to be. I should have just right-clicked him there instead of nuking first, because I would have ran. Maybe I should have done that. Alright, so because we got those 2 kills, we should be able to take Roshan. Again, Peel's still not a very good Roshan killer, because... Oh, that looks really cool. Because my illusions just die as soon as they respawn, but... Or as soon as they spawn. But I wanted to hold Aegis. I think he has Butterfly here. Yep, he's got Butterfly. He's like way ahead of me in farm. I'm always happy to put my illusions on him, by the way.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Again, if CM gets in melee range of me, she's gonna die. Unless she ulties. That's basically what's gonna happen. So she made a pretty big mistake letting me kill her there. They did get my Ancient Apparition, but giving me a kill for my support is a good trade for us. So I should have Manta style now. I think it's flying out. Did I get like extra gold for that or something? Why do I have so much gold? I guess we got Aegis when I defended. I don't know if I sold my items yet. Yeah, I did. I sold my Stout Shield and my Basilius, I believe. So now I'm going to get a Diffusal Blade 2. I maybe could have done this earlier, but I think it's okay here. Again, if the mana burn doesn't scale, it's fine to delay it until you've got Manta style, I think. Now I've got Manta, I can use it if I don't have time to cast Doppelwalk, for example, I can just Manta Split. I need to do either of those 2 things if the Beastmaster tries to initiate on me, though. I need to be able to stop that damage. The illusions. Split push continues. Alright. So now I had to figure out what I needed next. If this is a normal PL game, you get a heart or a butterfly, basically, is what your choices are. Boots of travel paying off. I could have manted that a lot earlier. I used the second skill if that was confusing. Replay commentaries aren't the best for showing a new hero because you might be confused like what I'm clicking on, but what I decided to buy is a Monkey King bar because I needed a way to be able to kill the Shadow Fiend. I can like close the gap on him, I can get into melee range, but I need to be able to kill him once I'm in there. And to do that, I need to not be missing 33% of the time. So I opted to purchase a Monkey King bar. The problem with MKB is that it doesn't do anything for my illusions other than lets them hit True Strike as well. It doesn't give them attack speed, it doesn't give them bonus damage. It just lets them not have to worry about evasion basically, but it's really important against a hero that has a butterfly. So, and the nice part is that I don't really my hero isn't as much of an illusion hero as he was before, so it's okay if I buy an item that doesn't necessarily directly help them. Of course, unfortunately, we lost Lich here. And there's my Manta Illusions. They'll actually sit mid for a long time, and they will push. So that's kind of cool. I'm also missing some HP regen, mana regen, but it's not that big of an issue. Still do pretty good damage with my illusions right now. So they do what's my base? 194. They do 16% of that. So my illusions do like 30 damage, something like that. I thought that would be. I didn't do that very well. I think I should have just charged in and nuked him, and then tried to dodge his stun with Doppelganger, or I could have charged in and manted, or I could have slowed him better. I could have used Diffusal too as I approached. That way he didn't get so much space. Or use Diffusal and then use Doppelganger, that way I have like a bunch of illusions pop up, but I didn't do that very well. Against super fast heroes like that, it's important. We were just talking about this ward spot. It's kind of a bad ward if you're playing Dire, because it doesn't really see a lot of stuff. It like sees the areas that your team is more likely than not going to be. It doesn't really show where your opponents are. If you're Radiant, I think that's a pretty good ward. It's a really good ward if you're Radiant and you're Roshaning. It's a fantastic ward. That's going to be very commonly dewarded though, so it might be a little dangerous to even place that. Let's check what the net worths are. I'm probably still behind. I'm catching up though, because I'm getting a lot more kills than Shadow Fiend is. My ability to like get kills due to my gameplay decisions is so much higher, because Shadow Fiend doesn't have a slow, you know? Shadow Fiend has to have good positioning, and he has to like play into people that attack him, whereas my hero can initiate on people that make mistakes. He's very punishing if I'm ahead. Anyways, I think Monkey King Bar was the correct choice to this game because of the Butterfly and Shadow Fiend, and the fact that I like I'm having a lot of trouble killing him. Again, I started running as soon as I basically didn't want to fight here. I really should have manted there. That was a big mistake. I was able to manta there, and it was fine, but I knew he was going to roar me, but I was for some reason waiting to doppelwalk even. I gave it way too much hesitation. I kind of thought about fighting him, but then I realized that I'm gonna die, so. There was some discussion on Twitter about what items you should get on PL, and Brax said that after Diffusal Blade and Manta, he got either a Scotty or a Butterfly, and I really like the Scotty choice. I think it's a really good idea, because I was thinking about Heart the whole time. I was like, oh, maybe I should get. I need an item that gives me HP maybe, so that my hero's tankier and my illusions have more tank or something. I thought maybe it'd be better if I do that. If you get Scotty, it's kind of the same thing. It gives you almost as much HP. Your illusions don't get the slow, but they do get all the HP and they get 25 agility, which is pretty good. And your hero gets a slow. I don't know how that stacks with Diffusal Blade versus Scotty. If Scotty overrides the Diffusal Blade, it's good. It's worth it. Because really you mostly want the Diffusal Blade on your illusions. So if you get the Scotty slow, you can always apply that because you have a charge. You're always going to be in melee range if you're trying to kill somebody. So it not only allows you to chase really good because you have the surge ability or whatever the heck it's called. What's it called? Phantom Rush. So you've got Phantom Rush, you can always close the distance. But if you have Scotty on top of that, that means that nobody can ever get away from you. because you're lancing, your diffusal blade slowing with the Purge ability, your Phantom charging in, and you have a Scotty. So like you become way tankier, you're able to chase way better, and you're just all around really, really strong. So Scotty is definitely an option. If they didn't have illusion carriers, I would probably recommend that or Butterfly in the future. But because they did have a Butterfly, I felt like I had to get an MKB. And it's not the worst again, because most of my damage is coming from my hero, not a huge amount is coming. It's a large amount coming from my illusions, but it's not the primary source of damage. So I think MKB in this instance was actually okay. Yeah. So Scotty, B-Fly, you can basically get a lot more items on Phantom Lancer than you could in the past, because your hero is better able to get into melee range and close the gaps and do fun stuff like that. So I was going to see if they would cast anything on my illusions, so I decided to kind of run them around, but I realized I was kind of wasting my time. Just kidding, I killed the Hawk. So I'll just let those kill illusions pretty good. As you can see, they do way more damage than my my other illusions do. It took me a while to realize that he was on top of me, but... Again, if you're in trouble, just use Doppelwalk. I accidentally almost ran into the Roshan pit. See, the escape used to be over there, but now it's not there anymore, so something you're going to have to get used to as a player. And I'm just going to run back now to go heal. So I maybe could have gotten Butterfly instead of MKB, by the way. It's another option. The problem with going that build is that if I get evasion, Shadowfiend will have trouble killing me, but he has AoE with his ultimate and his Mjolnir and his raises, so he probably could still kill my illusions and I'd still have trouble killing him. So Butterfly would have been really good against Chaos Knight and Ursa, but it would have been not very good against Shadowfiend, so I thought it was better to worry about killing Shadowfiend with a Monkey King bar. That's why I built it. So I think that's enough about Monkey King bar. Just checking items on everybody. Everybody had pretty good items. There's Ursa's items, Shadowfiend's items for reference. I'm just trying to throw some illusions out because I want to drain mana if possible. He should have blink dodged that. You can dodge it. He should have been faster. He was slow. I was slow too, but I was less slow. So once I know it's safe, I jump in. Our team fought that fight way better, but even still, you just wait until it's safe and then you jump in on the guy. Shadowfiend had already ultied, the Ursa was already dead, the Beastmaster got killed first, which is their biggest mistake. And then when it was time to party, I just jumped on in. Now again, my Doppelganger was really slow. What I probably should have done is a Manta, not the Doppelganger. Doppelganger is good there, but Manta is faster. You have to cast Doppelganger if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong though. It's pretty low cast time. I reacted real slow, but I still reacted to it, thank God. If he would have roared me first, we would have lost that fight, almost guaranteed. Because they would have just killed me right at the start. Ursa would have jumped in and blown me up, most likely. But because we got to initiate on Beastmaster, and that was one wasted hero, we were able to win the fight really easily. So. And then when I knew Shadowfiend was basically committed to the fight, I could just go in on him and finish him off.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
And at this point, I got the idea for a Basher, because now Basher is a horrible PL item in the past, but I think it's kind of okay now, because again, you can close the gap every 4 seconds, you can go into melee range on whoever you want to, and if you're in melee range on somebody, and you're worried about them killing your illusions, the best way to stop them from doing that is just to stun them. And if you actually get a way to stun, and you can control when you stun, then you're gonna be able to manipulate the team fight a lot better. So I think Basher is kind of okay here. I felt like I was a little low in HP, and Butterfly would have also been fantastic. If I got a Butterfly here, that probably would have been the better choice, I feel. Butterfly is better to make me just good at doing damage, but Basher is really good at making sure that I can kill somebody that is maybe kind of evasive, or I want to make sure I can't cast any spells. So that's how you should adjust it. If you're just playing playing against a straight up carries with few disables and they don't have MKBs, I would get a Butterfly. If you're playing against heroes that you want to make sure they don't cast anything, then Abyssal Blade or Basher is fine. In this game, I really don't want Shadowfiend to ever ulti. So if I can just get into melee range against Shadowfiend, especially because I have an MKB now, if I get a Basher or an Abyssal Blade on top of that, then I know that he's just going to die. Because my DPS output is really good, and it's hard for him to deal with me. He has like a ton of trouble dealing with me. For some... Wait, oh that's right, I dropped the drum
Your shrine
because I
has
needed
fallen
Aegis.
to the dire. Dire's
He really
structures
should have
are
tried to
fortified.
deny things with that. I used Doppelwalk right there, but that was a mistake.
Has fallen.
I should have meant it a lot earlier too. I could have saved like 300 HP. And then I tried to Diffusal Blade the Ursa, but it fogged, so it stopped. It was just a bad idea anyways. And I got lucky and I first hit bashed him. So. Again, every 4 seconds I get phase. Phase and surge. So every 4 seconds I'm hitting a hero, I get phased. I think. Maybe not in melee range, but if I continue to bash people, it's just like huge advantage. I ended up selling my drum, I think, because I was thinking like, oh, I have full items, but then I ended up losing the Aegis right away in a good fight. It was pretty worth losing it there. But I messed up and I should have put the drum back in my inventory. So I ended up being only 5 slotted for a while, but it's not that big of a deal. Just a little bit of movement speed and stats and stuff. It's not a huge loss. But I wanted to make a Abyssal Blade now, just so I could guaranteed kill the Shadow Fiend. He really can't do anything at this point. He can't deal with my illusions. The Mjolnir was a good idea, but if I have a bash versus him,
Dire's bottom
and I have my
tower
team
is
backing me
under
up a little bit,
attack.
then I should be just fine. So there we go. An item on a hero that you probably never really expected to see as viable, but is good in this game, I think. And now I'm just going to push the lane. So my illusions are doing like 16, 32, a little bit more than that damage. About 35 damage a hit. Keep in mind the Crimson Guard, even though this is late game and I have huge agility, if you do use that Crimson Guard ability, my illusions do 0 damage per hit during that 9 seconds. So it is definitely a good counter against PL. Even late game, now that I do the math, I've got a lot of agility items. Obviously, if I have like Scotty and a Butterfly, I'd be doing a little bit more than that, but I mean, you're damage blocking like 80% of his illusion damage, and the feedback would still go through as well, I believe. I don't know, I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it does. So, if you're worried about PL illusions doing a lot of damage, you need one of your tanky heroes to get a Crimson Guard, and then use that during a team fight. I don't know if I clarified this or not, but in the patch video on my first impressions, it wasn't quite clear if it only worked for 50 damage for one instance, but it actually works for every hit that you take for 9 seconds. 50 damage is going to be blocked from it, is how it works. So it's actually a very, very good item. But it has to be the right hero to build it, I think. Otherwise, it's a little bit wasted. Although you could probably justify building that on a lot of supports. Maybe not that, but there's probably some supports you can justify it on. Undying is probably a really good hero that you could build it on. I almost said Ogre Magi, but I don't think that's worth it. Ogre Magi's Ags is so good. It's probably worth going that before anything else. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with my items here. I would have probably gone... Knowing about Scotty, I would have gone Scotty here, I think, instead of Butterfly. Scotty's fantastic just for keeping people permanently slowed. Basically, like, PL's already fantastic at chasing people endlessly, and now it's even better if you have Scotty.
Radiant's bottom tower
I still felt
is under
uncomfortable about
attack.
how low my HP was. That's definitely true. I didn't like having only 2k. I thought that was too low, but with Manta and Doppelganger, it's not the worst. Frost Armor helps. So I'm gonna surge in. I'm gonna Abyssal Blade him. He has their... I got confused there or something. He had their best stun by far, so that's why I used my Abyssal Blade on him. I want to make sure that guy was dead. If I'm not getting stunned in a fight, then I'm feeling pretty okay. I feel like the Chaos Knight should have tried more to stun me, but... See, it kind of teleported to the high ground.
Is under attack.
Use my Manta as soon as I got a little scared here. Again, I teleported the high ground a little bit. I was hoping to get a bash, but I didn't get it. I lived. Was pretty happy about that. So,
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
yeah, I was really happy with the Abyssal. Like, Not a lot of people can react to that in time, and if I just stun him, if you're a little limited on disables, PL is going to be a huge issue. I really feel like he's a good hero right now, and he's like way less boring than he used to be. Like in the past, all you can do is Lance, Doppelwalk, and right click illusions on people. Like that's it. Now you can use Doppelganger and like build different items that do more things. Again, there I prevented him from roaring. I made the mistake of getting fogged on the high ground because it is harder to dive now. But he's a lot more fun to play, I think, and he has a lot more options. You don't have to get those same items. I built the MKB and an MKB and an Abyssal Blade in the same game, and it was actually viable. So I think the hero's a lot more fun to play now, and he has a lot more options. Just make sure that you build the Fusil Blade, you go the right skill build, and you play your fights correctly. You do kind of have to weave in and out of fights. You can't just like YOLO in, but still got to play pretty serious. But you should be able to abuse a lot of kills.
Radiant's top barracks are under attack. Radiant's top barracks has fallen. Dire's turret has been killed. Radiant's top barracks are under attack.
Pistol Blade.
Radiant's top barracks died.
Oh wow, they got 2,800 gold for my death. It's pretty good. It's a lot of gold. It says he only got 1,200, but he actually got 28. There's I got 2,800 gold for that. So it's really important that you don't feed your life when you're ahead. Anyways, that's PL. That's my thoughts on him. I'm gonna probably play a lot more games tonight and maybe stream. We'll see. But I hope you enjoyed my thoughts, and I'll bring you guys more videos about the new patch pretty soon. Alright, see you guys. Bye.